Alright, so this is part 2 for the FiberMesh tutorial in ZBrush. So the first video we just learned how to kind of generate FiberMesh and its different properties and how you can change those to kind of get the FiberMesh that you want. So in this, we'll build off of that and go into a bit more specific about FiberMesh sculpting. So the first thing I'm going to do here, and as you guys can see before I generate the fiber mesh, this dog got some poly paint information on this area, so I'm just going to mask this off, soften it up a little bit, right? And I'm just going to go to fiber mesh preview, right? There's the hair, lovely, right? Modifier, change the length, right? Whatever. And one thing that maybe we can cover right now is, I don't know if I covered it in the last video or not, is the fiber mesh by default is kind of noisy, right? It just looks noisy, and that is because of anti-aliasing and how ZBrush does that. So one thing we can do, see, it's super noisy down here. So if I click half, it's still kind of noisy, but the hair, it helps it a lot, right? Like if I could just click on half. But of course, clicking on half will make my screen half the size. So what I can do, go to document, click double, yes, hit Control N and just draw that dog out again. Hit T to edit. Now if you click half, your screen remains full size, but the hair is a lot softer. Alright, so that's the little fix there for us. Okay, I'm gonna change the segment here to, let's do 10, lots softer, right? And before I keep going, one thing I want to cover is if we have some poly paint information on here, right? And you guys can kind of see it has carried that over to the fiber mesh color, which is kind of interesting. But one thing we can do to fix to make it carry our poly paint onto the hair 100% is in the base and tip color. If you drag the tip color to 0 and drag the base color to 1, right? You see that now the poly paint color is on our hair. And if I reduce the length, the shorter the hair, the more obvious it will be, right? So that's how we get hair to have the color of our poly paint information. I'm going to make it a little longer. That maybe reduce the scale tip a little bit, make it pointy, and then just click accept. Click yes. Alright, so there is my hair on the dog. It's probably a little dense, but that's okay. I can turn poly paint color off here. Right? So one thing we can do with fiber mesh is if I hit Shift F to bring up the wireframe. Of course, we can do all the things we have done before in the first video, but one thing we can do is if we hold down Control, that's our mask brush, right? And draw a mask. Then with fiber mesh is if you paint it with the mask brush, it will mask the entire length of the hair. It will not mask a partial, like as if we were doing it on a polygonal mesh, like here. Right? It will mask the entire fiber. So what that allows us to do is once we have, let's say, that chunk mask off, we can go to polygroup, click group by mask. That will give us a group. So you hold down Control Shift, click on that group that you just created, and now you can just individually sculpt the hair on this group without affecting the rest of the hair of the fiber, right? So do hair groom, you can do groom hair toss. Right? Whatever you want. And one thing with the brush setting is, you guys notice how the hair bend here? Maybe you guys can see it. The hair by default will bend a little bit, so if you go into the brush fiber mesh, preserve length at 100% front collision tolerance. If you hold down control, you can read the full description of it. So if you essentially what this does is at 50, it basically helps you so that you don't brush the hair into the mesh. So if you reduce this to, let's say, 10, type in 10, hit enter. What that allows you to do is you can comb the hair much closer to the surface, right? See how the hair is sitting much closer to the surface? So that's what that setting does, right? And that setting is set per brush, right? So I just set that setting for this groom hair toss. If I change it to the move brush, right, I have to go back up here, turn preserve length onto 100, and front collision tolerance is at 10. Oh, it seems like it remembers, so maybe it's not per brush. But you do have to turn on the preserve length. Right, so let's say I'm gonna do a groom spike. I don't know, I'm just playing around here. Now that'll make it into a little spike. It's lovely. Move it around. If any point you don't like something, you can hold down shift and it will smooth it out. Hold down shift, that's a smooth brush, right? And it will smooth out that effect a little bit. Make it a little bit more manageable, right? So there you go. Let's say that's, oops, too big there. Let's say that's one group, right? Now you can go in and clear that mask. Control Shift, click on that to get hide that group because we already kind of sculpted on it. We can mask the next one. Group mask, same deal, right? Oops, click on that. BG groom hair. Oops, groom hair toss. This seemed to let me smooth it out a little bit, right? And groom hair spike. You guys don't have to do these exact brush, of course. Right, there you go. Got my little spikes in. Hold down shift, soften it out a little bit. Use the move brush, move it out of the way. Right. So now I have two hair groups, right? So the more patience you have, you can go in and let's say sub this into like a secondary detail, right? Like group mask, do that, then you can do groom hair spike on that guy. Oops. Right? Smooth it out a little, maybe. Use the move brush. I might turn preserve length down a little bit here so I can have some more freedom with how I move this thing. Alright, so this guy, move clear the mask. Maybe I need to do some groom hair spike for this guy as well. But yeah, so essentially you can split clumps into this sort of secondary shape and then tertiary shape and so on and so forth, right? So to give your hair some kind of variation. So and you can also do mask here and soften that out. But I generally like to just hide them so that I can see what I'm sculpting, I guess. So once you're done, let's say I'm done with that. I'm gonna go in and use the groom hair, what is it called? Turbulence, reduces the intensity, and go in and just mess it up a little. All right, introduce some noise in there. Let's say you're done, click render. I'm actually gonna quit because I did not realize I have Redshift on, so it's gonna take a while, and Okay, there. And it might crash my ZBrush. So, but I showed you guys how to render it in the last video anyway. So hopefully, you know, it should make sense. But if you are using Redshift to render to get like some skin material or something like that on the DAW, just so you know, Redshift will be able to render the hair. It just takes a while, okay, because it has to like do some more, I guess, path tracing calculation. So it'll probably take a bit longer to render out the hair, but again, that's how you do it. So thanks for watching, and I hope this was helpful.